Good afternoon. I just want to talk today about shopping your clearance racks. Today we are going to be planting some of our raspberries and blackberries, but we did find last week some raspberries on the clearance rack at Lowe's. They put them on the clearance rack every so often when some plants tend to get a little dried out and because they haven't been watered. And sometimes the clearance rack can be really great, sometimes not so much. But for something like these raspberries, it is really worth checking out the clearance rack. So we found these, they were 50% off their regular price. And you want to always check to see whether it's worth buying, because some things on the clearance rack are, obviously they're not going to look the best. They can look a little bit draggled, but sometimes they are just, for no other words, they are just dead. But I took a look at them when I was thinking about buying them, and I noticed that the greenery was starting to come back on them. So that was a good sign that they were starting to get their leaves. So they were not dead, they were coming back, and I knew all I needed to do was take them home, water them, keep them hydrated, and we would have some nice healthy plants. So we bought 4 of these for 50% off. So we got a really good deal. They're normally about $15, and we got them for $7.50 a piece. You can't order them for that cheap. You just can't get that good of a deal. Now, usually when it comes to my raspberries, I like to buy them usually in a store, because online they are a little bit more pricey. So I will only buy something that I cannot find in the stores, like my black thornless and my black sweet repeat raspberries. You don't see a lot of black raspberries in most of your stores, and you definitely don't see the sweet repeat or the thornless. The thornless is actually new, and it is a Gurney's exclusive. They've had thornless blackberries for years, but the black raspberries, they have not. And I just want to go over again the difference between the black raspberry and blackberry, because I have heard some confusion over that. The black raspberry is just like a raspberry, where it actually is the cup shape, rather than the blackberry that does not have the core that pulls out the way a raspberry does. So this was an actual legitimate black raspberry as opposed to the thornless blackberry. So I did order those online because you couldn't find them in stores. And usually I have not seen, with the exception of Southwood Nursery here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that had black raspberry plants. Usually it's either the red or the yellow. The black raspberries are a little bit harder to find. And one of the reasons is they are much more susceptible to disease. And you really do, like we're planting, what we've got here are red raspberries, and I've got a yellow raspberry that I bought at Tractor Supply. It was dormant, and what I do with my dormant ones, I always put them in some water. I take them out of the soil that they come in and put them in some water, because they are dormant. A lot of the times the canes are dormant, and as you can see, it's come out of dormancy. It's got its new cane growing out. So that's the yellow. The red raspberries, the yellow raspberries, and the blackberries, which I've got 2 blackberries that we're gonna plant here. These are from Bushel and Berry. These were also from Tractor Supply, and these were a really good deal for the size. These are different than your normal blackberry that's just grows out on the canes. This actually is going to be more of a true bush style. They have more of a mounding growth pattern than the wild bramble cane pattern of your regular raspberry. So they are going to grow more like a traditional shrub style. But these are things that I like to try when they're different. But you need to keep in mind, like I said, we're planting the blackberries, the red raspberries, and this golden raspberry. This is where our berry patch is. We've got rows of blueberries, red raspberries, blackberries. It's kind of looking a little crazy right now. We've got to come in with a weed eater and fill in some spots. But this is going to be our larger berry patch. And the reason that we are only doing the yellow, the red, and the black berries is you cannot plant a black raspberry with any closer than 75 to 100 feet from any variety of raspberry, any variety of the red, any variety of the yellow, or any variety of blackberries, because they tend to spread disease to the black raspberries. So you have to keep them separate. They are more susceptible to disease in the wild area. The black raspberries are more rare. So that's why you don't see them as much. They're just a little more disease susceptible than the other varieties of raspberry. But the black raspberries have always been one of my favorite. That's why I always have had them. Now, I just really recently got, it's still considered a red raspberry. It's a little bit more purplish in color, but it's supposed to be a firmer red raspberry. That is one of the things I have traditionally liked about a black raspberry over a red, is the firmness of the red. A lot of the varieties of red tend to squish a little bit easier, which is fine if you're making jams or jellies, but if you're just, wanting to store them in the fridge to eat them, they do get squished easier, and they just don't hold up quite as long as the black raspberries do. So that is one reason I like to have the blacks as well. And with the gold, I've never had them before, but I wanted to have them because it's something different, and they are a fall raspberry crop as opposed to a summer crop. So that's something that's, good to think about when you're making your crops. So we're going to get ready here in a minute and start planting our berries. We got some of our GP soil, which is a newer soil we've tried, and we've got our back toe topsoil, which is one of my favorite soils, and we're gonna have at it here in a minute. What, Alayla?